So it is another day, a couple days since I was last out here. I had some family stuff to enjoy in the meantime, but I'm back at it now. We've had a couple days of water to collect. It's really interesting. I mean, I've known we have wet areas here. We've not had rain for probably maybe close to 2 weeks, 10 days. We have a lot of clay soil, so our grass still green, the lawn is still really green, but like even in the town next to us, which has a lot of sandy soil, and other areas that have sandy soil, their lawns are starting to turn brown. But not here. Still have groundwater. Up here I have an issue, which I do have a plan for, where there's a lot of water connected. Basically, you can see it's sort of a low point. This is the large drainage for most of the field. Comes through that culvert, 24-inch culvert. 18-inch culvert. And even though we haven't had rain, the water has collected here. And this frog, two frogs right there, have already found a home. They seem to be always nearby when there's a puddle. This is probably 6 to 8 inches deep, maybe more. You can see some of the walls have collapsed a little bit. So I have a little of a smoothing out here to do. I don't want these little clumps, these little dams. I'll make that smooth. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the frogs. Hopefully I don't damage any. But my plan here is I've always thought, well always, since I put this culvert in, that I wanted to have a defined swale, rock-lined swale from here into the swampy area where the brush is. So I'm going to use this opportunity to do that. Obviously I'm going to have to drain this out. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do anything from the culvert to here. I have plenty of time and material to do that. But from here downstream, I'm just going to dig a trench that will drain this. But I'm going to keep the trench maybe at least a foot or two deep until I get right to the very end, then I'm going to daylight it. And instead of backfilling it with soil, this trench I'm going to backfill with tailings or rocks. I'm going to use a different source than I've used tailings before, which is like 1.5 to 6 inch rocks, instead of having some of those real big rocks that I can get in some of the tailings. To fill that trench in, I don't plan to line it with fabric, but it'll act sort of like a French drain. And then instead of topping it with topsoil and grass, I'm going to topsoil it with a rocky swale. So I'm going to use that, so this drainage dish that I have here will sort of serve as double duty as an immediate drain for this, as well as sort of a permanent, hopefully drain or way to keep this area a bit more dry. Last night I was able to do some bush hogging, which are some areas that I haven't been able to do because it's been wet. This was one of those areas where I haven't been able to bush hog it all year long, but you can see it's still muddy. But I was able to bush hog it before I really was sinking up to my axles. I did sink there. I wasn't able to come back anymore in those two tracks, but I was able to go forward and get myself out. So that trench that I'm talking about will be basically right here in the little dip in the field. Bigger picture, this is where the center vault will go, right here where these flags are. It'll be about 500 feet from the transformer vault up there. I'm almost done here. I have probably just 75 feet or so. And then this will be basically a straight line. I actually mowed it again from here in that pole. But I'm going to wait on this section here because that pole is going to be replaced. And once that pole is replaced, then they will mark where I need to put what they call a drain vault. Because this is downhill to there, that vault is going to act, well, one is a junction box for the line coming off the pole, and also the low point in the trench for it to drain off to the left there into the swamp. So I knew there was a possibility, particularly with that side being wet. I guess now I know it's my reality. It's the first time I've really got my excavator in this sort of a precarious position before. I've always been able to easily get it out before. But I broke this hook. It was I had hooked it on the flange of a beam underneath the engine compartment. So I got to get a new grab hook and figure out a different way to connect this. So this is a 3/8 chain, but I only had a 5/16 grab hook available. I'd have to go to the store to get a 3/8. It does fit on there and it does grab the chain. So we'll see if it works. I just got to find a place to hook it where I don't rely on this, but just to grab the chain itself. My thinking is, the problem is I can't swing the house because it's the door is kind of stuck. So I can't swing the house, because if I could put the bucket over here, I could just lift this under the excavator up and drive out, I think, with no issue. So what I'm trying to do is help to tip it back this way, see, so I can clear the door there. Otherwise, I could dig it with a shovel. That'd be a bit more work. So what could I hook it to? I was kind of thinking something, the higher up the better for that leverage, because if I hook it to the tracks, it's just going to want to slide it out, and I don't think it's going to do that very easily because the other track will hit the side of the trench. Well, I'll crawl in there and figure out a space to hook it around, and we'll be back. Well, the only place I could find easily is this front hold down hook. So it's obviously meant for the weight of the excavator, wrapped around or up over the track. We'll see if that'll sort of at least alleviate enough of this pressure so I can get the boom around. All right, my trouble spot is basically cleaned out now, enough so I can dig my drain ditch. So I think I'm going to start that. It's going to have to sort of curve this way and then head that way to meet up with the swale. So basically right center, dead center of the excavator, and we'll drain this puddle. Well, that's done. You can see it is draining as rocks and mud get in the way to sort of dam it up, but it is draining slowly all the way down until it finally daylights just before the bushes start. So my plan here, I think I will line it with fabric. I have fabric, is not really that deep, so I should be able to use this 6-foot width of fabric I have and line most of it. Even if it doesn't line everything, it'll get most of it to maintain the rock voids as an open flow for water. And then I'll just bring it up to the level of the field and leave it. So it'll be exposed rocks. So hopefully I can mow and ride across it and still provide a bit of a swale for the water to run down. That's the plan anyhow. So I may, this is really wet and soupy. When it dries out a bit, I might be able to maybe contour the edges a bit more to make more of a wide swale rather than just this 1.5 or 2 foot wide trench. All right, well, I guess time now to continue on. So this is a little bit irregular for a bottom. I will just have to use sand because this is much deeper than I need right here. The proper depth is over there. I'll just have to waste some sand to bring it up so we don't cause excessive bend or kink in the PVC conduit. So the trench is done up to this midpoint vault, and I have outlined in white where that's going to be, sort of the rough opening, if you will, 6 by 6 and about 4 feet deep. That'll give us a foot or more of crushed rock to put at the bottom. I'll have to figure out exactly what elevation I want from the driveway, because you can see that the driveway is actually probably 6 inches above this current level now. So I want to account for that. So as far as the 3 to 5 inches or 4-inch nominal exposure, have to raise that up, knowing I'm going to backfill this a little bit with some topsoil. So we'll get the hole dug. Elevation will be easier to figure out, just filling in the crushed rock and using the level and seeing what looks good. So here I've picked a spot where hopefully this curve is gentle enough where the PVC pipe will just bend. I won't need any elbows, and then come up into the vault at the right angle. So that's about right. Six feet that way. It's much more than 6 feet that way, but 6 feet sort of ends at that rock. So it just sort of broke apart as I was lifting it up because of the nature of the material. But over here I was able to get a fairly clean side. Okay, so now I'm just going to straighten out the bottom, tamp it, and we'll put the rock in. Oh, the other thing I need to do before I put the rock in is I need a drain. So this is pretty steep here. That's why I sort of left this space between the piles, because this drain's just going to come, I think, right out here, and probably daylight right about here, I'd say. But we'll establish that first, and then we'll put the rock in and get everything leveled up. That was quicker and easier than cutting slits with the Sawzall. So I got that at the end, which is probably enough, just that. So this is tile tape. It's tape used to fasten together that thin wall corrugated black pipe that comes in coils. I have ordered some cement made for this type of pipe, but it hasn't come yet. I had to order this as well. That first vault I didn't use anything, so I'm hoping, being deep enough, being a lot deeper than this one and the next one, that it'll hold together fine without any compromise. So that's just reassurance. It should stay together, but this is probably within the frost level. Certainly out there towards the end of it, it's going to be. So as the ground moves, I guess this hopefully will more likely keep things together. Looks like electrical tape, but it is a lot ruggeder. I cannot break it by just pulling it like you can electrical tape. I had 44 to this rock, and now it's 31, so that's 13 inches. So 12 to 14 inches is the spec as a minimum, but I have to fill in a bit there, so I guess I'll dump a bit more. So with the depth measurement, I was making sure I had the 12 to 14 inches, which I did, but what I should have been worried about, so I had to put more rock in, was the finished height of the vault, so that I have the 4 inches exposed in the finished grade. So I raised it up enough to do that. So now we are finally ready to pull this thing in. So there it is. It is level to the world. When something is level on a slope, it always looks like it's tilted too much the wrong way. So probably to get enough topsoil to grow good grass, that's all clay. As you can see, it's just all powdery. I'll probably scrape some of that off, but over here I'm going to have to lift it up quite a bit. So it was really a compromise, because this slope is already steep enough. I don't want to make it any steeper by having this thing way up in the air. So sort of a compromise between having slope off the driveway and having excessive slope over here. So I have this pipe in. At some point I'll cut that off at whatever appears to be the right length, but for now it's just going to stay like that. I have filled it in, verified there's probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches per foot of drop, and I've made sure there aren't any voids underneath the pipe, so when I do backfill it, which I can do anytime, I don't have to wait for the inspection for this, it won't bend or crimp the pipe any. So with that other vault basically in place, now I'm going to spread the sand bed along the trench here to provide sort of that cushion bed for the PVC conduit to sit on. Their specifications say 4 inches basically all around it. So I'll lay 4 inches plus of sand on the bottom, lay the conduit on, then it needs to be inspected. Then I'll put another 4 inches of sand on top and then fill with the fill dirt. The only thing on that vault that I haven't done yet is put in the ground rods. I did look up the easiest way to put in ground rods, and you use a jackhammer or a rotary hammer. I do have a medium light duty one, battery operated, so I've ordered a bit. It should be here tomorrow. I'll see if that works. If not, I'll just go back to the old manual, whatever that thing is called, the fence post installer. Well, started up basically where the bulldozer is, wrapped around this corner, and I am where that shovel is. So it is I'm about halfway, so I'm going to switch from that pile, because I need to save some of that to put on top, to the pile just on the other side of the excavator. And boy, it's kind of hot, a little bit humid, which is odd for this time of year up in northern Vermont, but we'll pick it up in the morning when hopefully it's quite a bit cooler. It is the next morning. In fact, it's late in the morning because I started earlier in the morning to finish up the sand base for the conduit to lay on, and that is all done. It'll sneak underneath the vault there. 500 feet done. Only 500 more to go. Alright, so now's the next phase, which is laying the conduit. So my plan, we'll see how it works out, is to glue up all the conduit in a long length. Maybe not the entire length, but a long enough length so I can put it in without having to glue any in the trench itself. That would be a pain in the neck. One thing I wanted to mention, since we're up here at this first vault, I want to keep calling it vault, but it's vault, I guess. It's a vault to contain the volts. Anyhow, so when the inspector came here, even though I had put this in per the written standards, he said actually their new standard, which they haven't published yet, is to have both leads go in there. So I did that. Before, I had just wrapped this around once. One lead ended there, and the other one was coiled up in here. But for whatever reason, he says that I like two. I do stick with the 10 feet. Anyhow, he gave me the length of wire, and I wrapped it about as tight around here as I can. You know, I bent that over so it could hug the side of it a little bit better. But he was happy either way, but since it wasn't a big deal to just loosen those bolt, whatever they're called, things there that connect the wire to the rod, it was no big deal just to to do what they prefer. Well, that's all I can do for now because I forgot to bring scissors to cut the straps on this bundle. So I think there's 93 in a bundle, and I think there should be 7 extra to give me the 1,000 feet. So that's 70 feet. It goes together quick. What I don't know yet, and I'll after these get a chance to set up, is if I can sort of snake this in here with the end sticking out there, and then you know, snake it underneath the vault there. We'll give it a try. So I've glued together 14 pieces, which is 140 feet. Couple things. One is the instruction said to wait 15 minutes before handling, so these joints have all been at least 15 minutes. Maybe the last couple, not quite, but hopefully they're not disturbed too much. And the other thing is I want to put this in here and try to shove it up into the vault before it gets too heavy. Since I've not done this before, I'm not sure how much effort it takes to drag 140 feet of conduit. And it'd be nice to see how it lays in the trench. So I'm going to go on the other end, put a couple rocks to make sure that the end doesn't fall in. Rather it sort of stay up in the driveway. The standard says to expose that, or it should enter about 6 inches into the vault. So that's a bit more than 6 inches, but I think when this bends down it might suck it that way a little bit. Plus if I need to cut some off, or if they need to, I don't think it's a big deal. So that seems to be going in well. I think I'll put a couple more lengths on and keep this little pile of rocks here. So maybe I can put it in the trench from basically like here that way. Alright, so that's 200 feet. So most of this is set at least 15 minutes. Let's sort of dump it in the trench and see what happens. I'm going to walk through there and make sure that I have at least that 4-inch of sand buffer that I need around the corner, because if it's hugging this too tight, then obviously I can't fit 4 inches of sand in there. Well, I have put together all the pipe I need for now. Now, we've not made it quite to there, but I'm not sure where the end of this is going to end up once that's in the trench. I think, by my calculations, I have just one more to put in, but that's not a big deal. I've just chosen to put this one in after the fact, just like at the other end. And if I haven't mentioned it before, I will show you why in a bit. But while that last couple joints are setting for their 15-minute wait time, I did get my tool. I'll show you that. So this is the impact hammer that I have. I'm not sure what model it is. They have a lot of models, and they're all just incrementally more or less sort of energy per impact. But this bit here just has a hole in there to fit the ground rod. So we'll see if this is going to work. It'll be interesting to see. I am going to start it the old-fashioned way. The first couple of feet go pretty easily. I actually think the manual method was faster. But I'm sure if I had a heavier duty jackhammer or hammer drill, it would go in a lot faster. But with my sort of light to medium duty one, just doesn't provide enough energy per blow to make a difference. This works well. A little bit easier here than it was on the first one. I just gotta catch my breath. Go! sniffle, we're going to hear that. I can't help it. She's breathing heavy right into the microphone, so it doesn't matter. Muted anyways. Thanks to my photographers. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna go for a walk. So I put my first or second iteration of putting this in, I verified that the conduit stayed where I put it inside the vault. But the second, maybe third, maybe the third, maybe the second iteration of me putting the conduit in, this pulled back. So I have to waste a small piece here to extend that back in, which isn't a big deal because it would have been that way anyhow. Because the other one I ended up not cutting. Worked out good on the other end. It's nice and cool down here. They say to put a light coat inside the socket and a thick heavy coat on the pipe. I'm thinking that's because any extra on the pipe is just going to come out here. It's not going to go inside. But a lot of extra in here is actually going to make it inside the pipe, so it might make for a ridge that would make pulling wire a bit more of a challenge. I'm guessing. I don't know. So I'll sit here for 15 minutes while it sets up. Not, but I'll sit here for a little bit. I'll finish with some drone shots so you can get sort of a bird's eye view of the layout. See the section that we've completed and the section I still have yet to do, which is the road to that mid-position vault. So appreciate you watching this video. Thank you very much. Hopefully you'll stay tuned for more in the future.